The Galactic Empire was the most powerful force in the known universe. It ruled over 1,000 planets, and no one dared to speak against it. Its ships were fast, its weapons strong, and its leaders proud. For many years, the Empire believed nothing could ever challenge them, but everything changed the day the signal was found. It happened deep inside the Empire's data archive. A small cleaning drone was fixing broken wires when it found an old hidden box. The box was covered in dust and sealed with ancient codes. The drone reported it, and soon scientists were called to open it. Inside was a device, a black cube with strange markings. No one had seen this kind of tech before. One scientist named Relic took it to his lab. He was old and careful, and he had studied lost technologies for many years. Relic worked all night trying to unlock the cube. At last it spoke. The cube played a signal. It was weak and cracked like a message from the past. The voice was calm but serious. It spoke in old galactic basic. To any who hear this, do not search for Earth. Do not send ships. Do not make contact. Leave them alone for your own survival. Silence followed. The scientists in the room looked at each other. Some looked confused. Others looked amused. Then someone laughed. Earth? That's just a story, one of them said. Yes, another replied. A myth told to scare children. They laughed louder. The message was clear, but no one believed it. Earth was not on any current star maps. No records showed it ever existed. It was said to be a dead world, destroyed long ago, or maybe it never existed at all. Only Relic did not laugh. He stood still, staring at the cube. His face was pale. His hands shook slightly. I have seen this kind of warning before, he whispered. Long ago, a scout team disappeared near a place called Sector 9. Just before they vanished, they sent a similar message. Sector 9 is empty, said another scientist. No life, no stars, just black space. Exactly, Relic said. And now we find this. Later that day, the Empire Council was called. Leaders from every part of the galaxy gathered in the high chamber. The cube was placed in the center, and the warning was played again. The room was filled with silence. Then Supreme Commander Yarn stood up. He wore silver armor and had red eyes that glowed slightly. He was a warrior and hated old stories. This is nonsense, Yarn said. Earth is not real. It is a lie created by the weak. We are the Empire. We fear nothing. Most of the council cheered. They loved his strength, his power, his pride. But Relic stepped forward. He held a small star map in his hands. This is no lie, he said. I searched old maps. Earth was once marked here. He pointed to Sector 9. But all records were deleted. Why? What are they hiding? Commander Jarn laughed. Hiding? From who? Ghosts? Relic did not laugh. He looked around the room, hoping someone would listen. This warning was not sent by cowards. It was sent by survivors of something we do not understand, something strong enough to scare them into silence. One council member asked, if Earth is real, why has no one seen it? Relic answered, maybe no one came back alive. His words made the room go quiet again. Even Yarn didn't smile. But then the moment passed. The council returned to jokes and pride. Let's not waste time on fairy tales, Yarn said. Close the case, destroy the cube. Relic tried to protest, but guards stepped in front of him. He watched helplessly as the cube was taken away. That night, Relic sat alone in his lab. He stared at the stars from his window, thinking about the warning. He felt cold, a feeling he had not known in years. Fear. Before sleeping, he turned on a recorder and whispered a message to himself. They laughed. But I believe the warning, and I must find the truth before it finds us. Far away, deep in the black silence of Sector 9, something old and powerful opened its eyes. Relic did not sleep that night. He sat at his desk, surrounded by old books, broken maps, and glowing star charts. While the Empire laughed at the warning, Relic felt something was deeply wrong. He knew the name Earth was not just a myth. He had seen signs, too many to ignore. He opened an ancient star map from over 500 years ago. It showed many systems now gone. One area, in the far corner of the galaxy, was labeled Sector 9. Back then, Sector 9 had 20 stars and 10 known planets. Relic looked at a new map. Sector 9 was now marked as Dark Zone, no life detected. Nothing was there. No stars, no planets. Just black space. He blinked. How could so many stars vanish? He zoomed in closer. One by one, the stars disappeared over time, not all at once, slowly, quietly, like something had eaten them. Relic searched the Empire's records. He found missions, old reports from scout ships. Most were short. Many ended with one final message. System unstable, pulling out, something strange here. One report made him stop breathing. Scout ship Vinter, 7-year 3122 GE. We saw something, a large shadow covering the stars. It's not a planet. It moved. We are turning back. Final status, lost. No signal received again. Relic leaned back in his chair, eyes wide. He typed a code into the system and unlocked a private archive. It was restricted, but he had worked in the science division for years. He knew the back doors. There, he found a red file marked Class X Silenced Reports. Inside were voice logs from Empire pilots who had entered Sector 9. One voice whispered, "They watched us." Another voice cried, "We fired first. We shouldn't have." And the last voice simply said, "Earth is not dead. It's waiting." Relics. Hands shook. The puzzle was becoming clear. The Empire had found Earth long ago and had been hiding the truth. But why? He needed proof. He searched through junkyards, old crash reports, and forgotten parts. Then he found it, a half-broken escape pod from a lost Empire ship. The pod was found near Sector 9, floating. Relek opened the data core inside. At first, nothing. Then, static. A video began to play. The screen showed a dark space. No stars, just silence. Suddenly the stars blinked out, one by one. A shape moved in the blackness. It was massive. Quiet. Like a mountain floating in space. No engines. No sound. Just drifting. Then a logo appeared on the side of the shape. It was faded, but still readable. Earth Force Relek gasped. The pod's final image was the inside of a ship. The walls were metal, but not Empire style. They were old, Earth style. A shadow passed across the camera. Then it went dark. The pod had escaped, but the ship had not. Relic backed away from his desk. His heart was pounding. Earth was not just real, it was powerful, and it had ships still flying. He sent a message to the Empire Council marked urgent. Earth exists. It is located in Sector 9. Our own records prove it. Do not send warships. Study it first, please. But no answer came. The next morning, news spread across the galaxy. The Empire prepares a fleet to explore Sector 9. Commander Jarn leads the mission. Objective: confirm or crush the myth of Earth. Relic felt cold. They were going to attack. He watched the fleet leave. Hundreds of ships, glowing like a trail of fire in the sky. Everyone cheered. The Empire was proud, strong, unstoppable. But Relic knew they were flying straight into the unknown. He whispered to himself, "They think Earth is sleeping, but what if it's awake?" Far away, in the cold dark of Sector 9, something stirred. Ships powered up, eyes opened, and a message was sent through the stars. "They are coming!" 3 weeks passed after the Empire's fleet entered Sector 9. Then, without warning, one ship returned. It came back alone. Broken. Its engines were damaged. Its surface was burned. No messages had come before it arrived. The ship drifted into the Empire's space like a ghost from the dead. When the boarding teams entered, they found only one thing inside: a prisoner. He looked like a human, tall, silent, dressed in black armor, half burned. His face was calm, but his eyes were cold. He had no weapons, he did not fight. He did not speak. He simply stood there, waiting. The Empire's high command was confused. All other ships had vanished. No calls, no survivors, nothing, except this one silent man. The leaders ordered the man to be locked in the deepest prison, on Central Prime, the Empire's home planet. Relic watched the broadcast from his small lab. He froze when he saw the figure on the screen. "That's a soldier," he whispered, "but not ours." Inside the prison, the human was given food. He did not eat. He was questioned. He did not answer. Doctors tried to test him. Blood samples, scans. But the machines kept breaking. One doctor touched his skin, and his hand turned ice cold. He screamed and never returned. Guards watched him 24 hours a day, but something strange happened. One guard said he blinked and saw the man standing behind him, then blinked again, and the man was back in the cell. Another guard quit after hearing whispers during the night. She said the voice came from inside her head. "Leave before they come." Still, the leaders refused to believe the fear. Commander Jarn visited the cell himself. He stood in front of the human and spoke with pride. "Your people attacked our ships. We will find your planet and crush it. Speak now, and maybe we will spare some of you." The man just stared. Then, for the first time, he moved. He stepped forward and placed his hand on the glass. His eyes locked on Yarn, and for a second, just 1 second, Yarn felt something he had never felt before. Fear. Yarn left quickly. He ordered the guards to increase security, but he told the public, "We have captured the enemy. Earth is weak." In secret, though, Relic was called to study the human. He walked into the dark prison cell, holding a small scanner. The human sat quietly looking at the wall. "Do you understand me?" Relic asked. The human turned his head slightly, but still said nothing. Relic sat down on the floor across from him. "I know what you are. I know where you're from. Earth is real." And they didn't listen. Still, the man was silent. But Relic noticed something. The scanner in his hand was heating up. Slowly. Too hot to hold. He dropped it. The human finally looked him in the eyes. For just a moment, Relic heard a voice, but not with his ears. It was inside his mind. "They are watching." Relic gasped and stepped back. "Who's watching?" he whispered. The man blinked slowly. "They know your ships came. They know you took me." Then silence. Relic tried to ask more, but the man closed his eyes again. He would say nothing else. Later that night, in the prison's control room, strange things began to happen. Cameras glitched, lights flickered. One by one, doors opened and closed without cause. Guards ran to the cell, but the man was still there, unmoving. But on the screen, the footage showed something different. In the video playback, the human was not in the cell. He was walking through the hallways, watching the guards sleep, standing behind them, looking into the cameras, and then back in the cell again. "No one can move like that," a guard whispered. Relic stood in the control room and said, "He's not here alone. Something is already coming." Far beyond the stars, deep in Sector 9, a massive signal activated. A voice spread through the cold space meant for no one, but heard by all. "Return our soldier, or face what you woke." The prisoner still did not speak. He sat in silence inside his cell on Central Prime, the heart of the Galactic Empire. But something had changed. The guards stopped looking him in the eyes. They avoided his cell. Whispers filled the halls. Some said he could move without walking. Others said he was still standing in the cell, even when they saw him somewhere else. The truth? No one knew. But fear had begun to grow. Commander Yarn refused to believe it. He stood in front of the council and slammed his fist on the table. "This is weakness," he shouted. "The prisoner says nothing. Earth is nothing. We will end this now." Relic stepped forward. His face was pale. His voice was calm but firm. "We sent our fleet," he said. "They never returned. This one man came back alone. He didn't need to speak. He is the message." Yarn laughed coldly. "Enough of your ghost stories, scientist. This is not fear, this is war." He turned to the council. "I request permission to send the Second Fleet into Sector 9. This time we do not search. We attack." Some council members hesitated, but most nodded. The vote passed. 10,000 ships, the Empire's greatest fleet, sent into the dark to destroy a myth. Relic stood outside the tower as the fleet launched. The sky burned with fire as the engines roared, but in his heart he felt no pride. He felt dread. That night, something strange happened again. All power on the prison level failed for 30 seconds. Backup systems lit up. Cameras went offline. Doors reset. When the lights returned, the prisoner was still in his cell, but the words, "We warned you," were written on the wall, burned into metal. No one saw him move. No one opened the cell. No tools were used. Still, the words were there. The guards begged to be moved. Relic visited again. This time, the prisoner looked straight at him before he even entered the room. Relic sat down slowly. "You knew this would happen, didn't you?" he asked. The human didn't reply. Relic whispered, "They're coming, aren't they?" The man blinked once. Then, Relic felt the voice again, deep in his mind. "You opened the door." Suddenly, alarms rang across the planet. The Empire's fleet had reached Sector 9. But what they saw was not empty space. It was a graveyard of stars. Hundreds of Empire ships from the First Fleet floated dead, cold and silent, as if frozen in time. Commander Yarn stared from his command ship. His "Face hard! Charge weapons!" he shouted, but before the order finished, the stars began to vanish again. Darkness spread like smoke through space. Shapes moved, massive shapes, larger than anything the Empire had ever built. Silent, no engines, no lights, just shadows moving with purpose. Then came the voice. Not through radio, not through sound, straight into their minds. "You were warned! You came anyway!" Empire ships opened fire. Beams of light flew into the dark. Nothing hit. The shadows dodged faster than thought. Then, they attacked. No explosions, no fire. Just silence, and one by one, the Empire ships vanished. Back on Central Prime, the Council watched in horror. The screen showed the fleet being erased like dust in the wind. The broadcast ended. Nothing came back, except one thing, a signal. It was simple, cold, and final. Next, we come to you. Panic spread through the Empire. Citizens screamed. Planets went dark. People fled the cities, and in the deepest cell, the prisoner smiled for the first time. Relic stared at him. "Why are you smiling?" The voice returned, soft but sharp. Now they remember. The Empire had never known fear. Not when they crushed rebel worlds. Not when they destroyed cities with one shot. Not when they ruled the stars for 1,000 years. But that changed the moment Sector 9 answered. The Second Fleet, 10,000. Strong, was gone, not defeated, erased, and the only warning was a quiet voice that echoed across every system. Next, we come to you. On Central Prime, panic grew like fire. Ships crowded the skies as leaders and nobles tried to escape. Alarms screamed in every corner of the city. People who once laughed at the idea of Earth now whispered its name with terror. Commander Jarn stood in the war tower, his hands clenched. "This is not war," he said. "This is trickery. They use fear like a weapon." But no one believed him anymore, not even his own guards. Relic watched from his lab as the skies darkened. Storms formed above the capital, though no rain fell. The clouds moved in strange shapes, almost like something was hiding behind them. He rushed to the prison. He needed answers. The guards were gone. Doors stood open. Only one cell was still, locked. The human prisoner sat in the same place, calm as ever. Relic entered, breathing hard. "They're coming, aren't they?" The man opened his eyes. Relic stepped closer. "Tell me what they want. Tell me what we did." The human stood. This time he did not hide his voice in Relic's mind. This time he spoke out loud. The Empire touched what it should have left alone. "You reached into the dark and woke something older than your stars." Relic felt his knees weaken. "What are they?" The man walked toward the glass. "They are what comes after arrogance, after cruelty, after you laugh at warnings." A boom echoed outside. The sky turned red. Relic ran out of the prison and looked up. They had arrived. Massive ships, black as shadows, silent as death, entered the atmosphere. They made no sound, yet every building trembled. The Empire fired its last defenses, planet-sized cannons, energy beams, missile storms. Nothing worked. The enemy ships didn't even dodge. The weapons passed through them like smoke. Then, the towers began to fall. Buildings collapsed with no explosion, just a pulse. People screamed. Air cracked like broken glass. Lights failed, and deep inside the planet, something older than technology woke up. A sound came, not from outside, but from within every person, a low, deep hum that rattled bones. Across the Empire, billions heard one word. Remember. Commander. Yarn stood on the last tower, staring into the sky. He raised his weapon and shouted, "We are the Empire! We do not kneel!" Then something moved in the clouds. A single figure, glowing faint blue, descended. It wasn't a ship. It wasn't a god. It was a man, a human. He floated down through the fire, untouched by the flames. As he landed, Yarn stepped forward. "Who are you?" The figure looked at him. Calm. Cold. "I am your warning made flesh." Yarn screamed and fired. The beam hit the man's chest and vanished. No smoke, no damage, nothing. Then the man raised his hand, and the tower turned to dust. Relic watched it all. He fell to the ground as the sky cracked open. He saw what the Empire had called a myth, Earth's vengeance. It wasn't loud. It wasn't angry. It was final. The prisoner in the cell disappeared. No door opened. No sound was made. He simply vanished. And in his place, written on the wall in glowing letters, "This is what comes after warnings." The skies of Central Prime were black, not from night, but from ships, silent, endless, waiting. The Empire had fallen quiet. The towers lay in dust. The council chambers were gone. Commander Jarn was gone. Millions watched the sky, frozen in fear. Still, no demands came. No army marched. No voice shouted, only silence. But everyone knew. Earth had arrived. Relic stood in the ruins of the capital, wind blowing ash across the streets. He stared up, heart racing. His people had mocked Earth, ignored every sign, lied about the past. Now Earth said nothing, and somehow that was worse than war. Then the voice returned, not in the sky but inside every mind, soft, calm, unstoppable. You were warned, again and again, but you chose pride. Across the Empire, people dropped to their knees. Some begged, some screamed, some tried to run. But where could they go? In orbit, one of the black ships opened. It didn't fire. It released something. A light. It floated down like dust. But when it touched buildings, they vanished. No sound, no smoke, no heat. Gone, like they had never existed. The light spread, gentle but deadly. It passed through cities, finding places where orders had been given to destroy planets, where slaves had cried, where lies were written into law, and it erased. Only those who had stayed silent or tried to speak truth were left untouched. Relic ran through the city, past empty buildings and glowing dust. He reached the ancient archive, a place forgotten by most. Inside, deep below the ground, he found a single working terminal. There, he opened the oldest records of the Empire, and he found the truth. Over 600 years ago, Earth had made contact. Not to conquer, but to warn. They had seen what the Empire was becoming. They offered knowledge, peace, help, but the Empire didn't want peace. They wanted power, so they attacked Earth. What they found was not weakness. It was silence. Their ships never returned. Their spies never sent word. So the Empire erased Earth from maps, from books, from memory, and for centuries, Earth said nothing. Until now. Relic backed away from the screen, shaking. They waited, he whispered. All this time, they waited. Outside, the sky cracked with white light. A massive figure appeared, larger than any ship. It wasn't a person. It wasn't metal. It was a memory made real. It took the shape of all those the Empire had crushed. The planets burned. The people silenced, the lives erased. Now, Earth had returned, not as soldiers, but as justice. The voice returned. You had a choice. You chose silence. Now, we speak. Relic stood alone as the light reached him, but it passed over him. He was not erased. He had searched. He had warned. He had listened. The voice spoke to him directly. You will witness. You will remember. Tell the stars what happened here. Relic fell to his knees. All around him, the Empire disappeared. Not with fire, not with war, but with a quiet truth that left no trace. Ships crumbled into light, palaces vanished into air, weapons turned to dust, and when it was over, the stars shone again. Clear, quiet, empty, Central Prime was gone. Only Relic remained, standing on a small platform that used to be his home. Above him, the last Earthship hovered, silent, watching. Then it turned and drifted back into the stars. No. Message. No threat. Just one word, whispered across space. Judgment. Relic sat alone. The stars above were quiet now. No warships, no alarms, no empire. Just silence. All around him was dust where cities once stood. Towers that touched the sky were now gone. Streets filled with power and pride had vanished. And yet, he was still here. The last one. The man who tried to warn them. The one who listened. A small floating recorder blinked beside him. Its soft light still worked. He pressed the button and began to speak. My name is Relic, he said softly. I was a scholar, a nobody. I studied what others ignored. Earth, myths, lies buried under history. He paused, looking at the sky. They erased Earth from our records. We called it a joke, a forgotten rock. But Earth never forgot us. He looked down at the glowing dust on the ground. Now I am all that's left. Across the stars, other systems had gone silent too. Ships vanished. Worlds that followed the Empire without question were empty now. But not all. Some outer colonies had stayed neutral. Some had resisted quietly. They were spared, and they were listening now. Relic sent his message far. He told them everything, the warning signal, the prisoner, the fleets, the destruction, and Earth, not as a place of war, but of memory. They watched for centuries, he said. They gave us time, gave us chances. We laughed. We called them weak. But Earth never needed to speak loud. They let history do that. He stopped recording and saved the file. It would send itself across open channels, repeating until someone found it. Then a soft wind passed through the ruins, and a sound. Footsteps. Relic turned quickly. No one should be here, but there, stepping through the dust, was a child. Human. She looked maybe 10 years old. Brown hair, bright eyes, dressed in a simple black suit glowing faintly in the dark. Relek stood. Who are you? The girl smiled, kind and calm. I came to make sure you survived. Are you from Earth? She nodded. One of many. We are everywhere now, watching, quiet, always watching. Why did you spare me? Because you remembered. She walked past him and looked at the stars. Empires fall, she said, but stories last, and someone has to tell them right. Relek looked at her, confused. Is this the end? She shook her head. No, this is the beginning of truth. The ground behind her glowed faint blue. A small pod rose from the dust. An Earthship, smooth, silent, glowing like glass. She turned to him. You can stay here, among ghosts, or come with us. Relek stared at the pod, then at the ruins of his world. I want to understand. Then come. He stepped forward. Before entering, he looked back one last time. The Empire, so powerful, so proud, was now just dust, all because they refused to listen. As the pod lifted into the sky, Relek felt a strange peace. Not joy, not sadness, just truth. For the first time, he truly understood what Earth was. Not just a planet, but a reminder, a mirror, a judgment, and maybe a second chance. The stars had never looked so quiet. Relek sat inside the Earthship, watching them pass by. It moved without sound, without force, like it was part of space itself. Beside him sat the human child. She said nothing. She didn't need to. Relek had seen enough. He had seen the fall of the greatest empire in history, not by war, not by fire, but by something far more powerful. A message. For many days they traveled in silence. The ship passed through old empire systems, now empty. No ships, no rulers, only dust and silence. But in some places, life remained. On outer planets, far from power, people gathered around radios and screens. They had heard Relek's voice, and they had listened. They played his message again and again. My name is Relek. I was part of the Empire. I watched it fall, not because Earth hated us, but because we refused to hear the truth. Some cried, some stayed silent, some began to write their own stories, afraid of being forgotten too. The heart of a small moon colony, a young boy asked, Did Earth destroy the Empire? His mother answered gently, No, son. The Empire destroyed itself. Earth only made sure we remembered that. The pod carried Relek to a hidden world. Not Earth, but something close. A quiet planet with green skies and silver water. The child led him to a large structure, floating in the air. A library, unlike anything he'd ever seen. Books of light. Stories, stored in crystal. Memories from hundreds of civilizations, and at the center, Earth's history. Their truth, their pain, their silence. Relek stood before a glowing table. The child handed him a small glass disc. This is your voice, she said. Your story, your warning. It will be placed beside ours. Relek looked around. So, others have done this before? She nodded. Many. Not all listened, but some did. He placed the disc on the table. His message, his memory, became part of Earth's great archive. A voice in the stars. Later that evening, he walked alone by the glowing lakes. The stars reflected perfectly on the water, and he saw ships, hundreds of them, rise from the trees. Not warships, carriers, explorers, peacekeepers. Earth was not hiding anymore, but they were not coming to rule. They were coming to teach, to remind, to guide. Because Earth had learned something long ago. True power is not control, it's memory, it's truth. Before Relek slept, he asked the girl one last question. Why didn't you destroy us all? She, looked up at the sky. Because someone always listens. One cycle later. Across the galaxy, new worlds were growing. No empires, no thrones, just free systems, learning from what came before. On a small desert planet, a school opened. Its name? Memory of Earth. And in the center of its hall, carved into stone, were the final words of Relek's message. When Earth speaks, it is not with fire or steel, but with the weight of everything we chose to ignore. The stars were no longer afraid. They were awake. And Earth had returned to silence, watching, waiting, remembered.